Captain Jake Morrison stared at the screen in front of him. The numbers did not make sense. His ship, the Liberty, had been flying through space for 6 months. They were looking for new worlds that might have life. What they found on Kepler 442b was impossible. "Run the scan again," Jake told his crew member at the control panel. "I already ran it 5 times, Captain," said the young officer. "The readings are the same every time." Dr. Lisa Parker pushed her way to the front of the bridge. She was the ship's expert on alien life. Her job was to study any new creatures they might find. But the data she was seeing made no sense at all. "Captain, according to these scans, the planet below us is covered with some of the most dangerous predators in the known galaxy," she said. Her voice was shaking a little. "But there are also humans down there, living humans." Jake looked at the planet through the main viewing window. It looked green and blue like Earth, but the scans showed creatures that could kill a person in seconds. Giant lizard-like beasts with teeth as long as swords, flying monsters with claws that could tear through metal, pack hunters that moved faster than hover cars. "How long have the humans been there?" Jake asked. "Unknown, Captain, but the settlements look old, maybe 50 years or more." Commander Alex Rodriguez walked over to join them. He was Jake's second in command and the leader of all ground missions. "Captain, I request permission to take a team down to make contact." "Alex, did you see the scan results? Those things down there eat starships for breakfast. The humans are alive, Captain. That means there's a way to survive down there. We need to know how." Jake thought about it. The Galactic Council had sent them here because they picked up strange signals from this planet. Radio waves that sounded like human voices. But humans were not supposed to be this far from Earth, and they were definitely not supposed to be living on a world full of monsters. "Fine, but you take a full security team. And you stay close to the shuttle. If anything goes wrong, you get out of there fast." 3 hours later, Alex and his team were flying down to the planet's surface. The shuttle's weapons were powered up and ready. Everyone wore their best armor. They had enough firepower to fight off a small army. The planet looked beautiful from the air. Green forests covered most of the land. Clear blue rivers ran between tall mountains. It looked like the perfect place for humans to live. But the scanner kept showing dangerous life forms everywhere. "There," said the pilot, pointing to a valley below. "I see buildings. And there are humans moving around." Alex looked through his binoculars. Sure enough, there were people working in what looked like farms, but as he watched, his mouth fell open. One of the farmers was riding on the back of a massive creature. The beast was at least 10 feet tall and covered in scales. Its teeth were visible even from this distance. "Set us down in that clear area," Alex ordered. "But keep the engines running." The shuttle landed with a soft thump. Alex and his team stepped out with their weapons ready. The air smelled sweet like flowers. Birds sang in the trees. It would have been peaceful if not for the sounds of large animals moving through the forest. Nearby, a group of humans walked toward them from the settlement. They were smiling and waving. They looked completely relaxed. Behind them followed several of the giant creatures. But the monsters were not attacking. They were walking calmly, like trained dogs. "Welcome to New Eden," said a woman as she approached. She was about 40 years old, with brown hair and sun-darkened skin. "I'm Maria Santos. I run this settlement." Alex could not take his eyes off the creature standing next to her. It was one of the giant scaled beasts from the scans. Up close, it was even more terrifying. Its claws could tear a person in half. Its jaws could bite through steel. But it was just standing there, looking almost friendly. "Are you all right?" Alex asked. "Do you need help?" "Are those things holding you prisoner?" Maria laughed. "Prisoner? Rex here is my best friend." "Aren't you, boy?" She reached out and scratched behind one of the creature's ears. The massive predator closed its eyes and made a sound like a giant cat purring. Alex's security team raised their weapons, but the creature just enjoyed the attention. "How is this possible?" Dr. Parker asked through the radio. She was watching from the shuttle, afraid to come closer. "You're asking the wrong question," Maria said. "Everyone who comes here wants to know how we survive them. But the real question is different. The real question is why we would want to just survive when we could have so much more. Alex looked around the settlement. Children were playing in the streets, but they were not alone. Small versions of the deadly creatures were playing with them. A little girl was throwing a stick for what looked like a baby version of the giant lizard beasts. The creature brought the stick back to her just like a dog would. These creatures, Alex said slowly, they're supposed to be killing machines. Our database says they're some of the most dangerous predators in the galaxy. They are dangerous, Maria agreed. But only if you treat them like enemies. We treat them like family. An old man walked over to join them. He had gray hair and kind eyes. Behind him walked another of the giant creatures. This one was even bigger than Rex, with old scars covering its body, but it moved gently, careful not to step on anything. "This is my grandfather, Joe Martinez," Maria said. "And that's King, his partner. They've been together for 20 years. 20 years? Alex could not believe it. You've been living with these predators for 20 years? Living with them, working with them, raising families with them, Joe said. They're not just predators, they're partners. They help us farm, they protect us from storms, they even help raise our children. Dr. Parker finally got brave enough to leave the shuttle. She walked over with her scanner running. The readings are incredible. These creatures' brain patterns are completely different from what we expected. They're showing signs of deep emotional bonding. Of course they are, Maria said. They love us and we love them. It's that simple. Alex watched as more humans and creatures came out to greet them. Each person seemed to have a creature companion. Some were riding the giant beasts. Others walked alongside smaller predators. All of them looked happy and safe. How did this start? Alex asked. The same way all good friendships start, Maria said. Someone was willing to take a chance on someone else. Someone was willing to see past the scary outside and look for the heart underneath. Rex, the giant creature beside Maria, made a low, rumbling sound. Maria smiled and patted his neck. He says you're welcome to stay for dinner, but you'll have to put away those weapons. They make the little ones nervous. Alex looked at his security team. They were all staring at the scene around them with amazement. Slowly he lowered his weapon. His team did the same. Dr. Parker, he said into his radio, I think we're going to need to completely rewrite our understanding of predator behavior. And human behavior too, Parker replied. What we're seeing here should be impossible, but it's happening right in front of us. As the sun began to set over New Eden, Alex and his team followed Maria and the settlers toward their village. Giant predators walked beside them like old friends. Children laughed and played with creatures that could have eaten them in one bite. And Alex began to understand that humanity had found something on this dangerous world that was more valuable than survival. They had found family. Dr. Lisa Parker had been studying alien life for 15 years. She thought she knew everything about how predators behaved. But after 3 weeks on New Eden, she realized she knew nothing at all. The data doesn't make sense, she told her research. Ryan Cooper, her best field biologist, was taking notes as fast as he could. Every single dangerous species on this planet has been changed by contact with humans. They were sitting in the research station the humans had built for them. Through the window, they could see a group of children playing with baby thornworms. These creatures would grow up to be 50 feet long and able to swallow a shuttle hole. But right now, they were gentle as puppies. It's not just the big predators, said Amy Foster, the team's chief scientist. Even the smaller hunters are different. Watch this. She pointed to a window where a woman named Kate Johnson was working. Kate was the settlement's animal doctor. She was treating a wounded razorback. The creature was the size of a small car, with claws that could cut through steel. It should have been trying to kill Kate. Instead, it was lying still while she cleaned its wounds. The creature is actually helping her, Amy said. It's showing her exactly where it hurts. It's working with her to get better. Ryan shook his head. This goes against everything we know about predator behavior. These creatures evolved to be perfect killing machines. They should not be capable of this kind of cooperation. Maybe that's where we went wrong, Lisa said. Maybe we only saw the killing machine part because that's all we were looking for. They watched Kate finish treating the razorback. When she was done, the creature gently touched her hand with its nose. It was saying thank you in the only way it knew how. I need to understand how this bonding process works, Lisa said. Kate agreed to show us this afternoon. A few hours later, Kate led them to a special area where new creatures were brought when they first arrived. There was a young thornworm there, about the size of a large dog. It had been injured and was scared of everything. This little guy was brought in yesterday, Kate said. His mother was killed by a landslide. He's alone and frightened. The young thornworm was hiding in the corner of its enclosure. Its scales were dark with fear. It made small whimpering sounds that broke Lisa's heart. How do you start the bonding process? Lisa asked. First, you have to forget everything you think you know about predators, Kate said. You can't see them as monsters. You have to see them as individuals with feelings and needs. Kate sat down outside the enclosure. She did not try to touch the young creature. She just sat quietly and started talking to it in a soft voice. Hey there, little one. I know you're scared. I know you miss your mama, but you're safe now. No one here is going to hurt you. The thornworm lifted its head slightly. Its eyes were large and sad. The key is emotional connection, Kate explained quietly. Humans have a special ability to read emotions across species. We can tell when something is afraid or angry or in pain. And somehow these creatures can sense our emotions. 2. Lisa watched as Kate continued talking to the young thornworm. Slowly, the creature started to relax. Its dark scales began to lighten to a more normal color. It's working, Ryan whispered. Look at its body language. It's starting to trust her. Kate reached into her bag and pulled out a piece of fruit. She held it out toward the enclosure. The young thornworm looked at it with interest. I'm not going to force you to take it, Kate said. But if you want it, it's here. The creature took a step forward, then another. Finally, it came close enough to take the fruit from Kate's hand. When it did, Kate smiled and spoke in a happy voice. Good boy, you're so brave, such a good boy. The thornworm's scales brightened even more. It made a soft, chirping sound. He's happy, Kate said. He understands that I'm pleased with him. The positive emotions are creating a feedback loop. The more he trusts me, the more I can show him affection. The more affection I show, the more he trusts me. Over the next hour, Lisa watched the bonding process continue. Kate never forced the creature to do anything. She just offered friendship and let the thornworm choose to accept it. By the end of the session, the young predator was eating from Kate's hand and letting her pet his head. It's incredible, Amy said. In 1 hour, you've created a bond that should have taken months to develop. The bond was always possible, Kate said. These creatures are social animals deep down. They just needed someone to show them how to be social again. The next day, Lisa met with Tom Bradley, one of the settlement's ranchers. He was in charge of the larger predators that helped with farming work. Lisa wanted to understand how the bonding process worked with fully grown creatures. The adults are harder, Tom admitted. They've learned to be afraid of other species, but the principle is the same. You have to show them that you're not a threat. He led her to a large pen, where several adult razorbacks were resting. These creatures were massive, with thick armor plating and claws the size of swords. They looked like living tanks. That one there is Diesel, Tom said, pointing to the largest razorback. He came to us 5 years ago. He'd been badly hurt by poachers who wanted his armor plates. He hated all humans when he first arrived. How did you change his mind? Patience. And food. And showing him every single day that I was not going to hurt him. Tom climbed over the fence into the pen. Lisa held her breath. The razorbacks looked up at him, but they did not seem alarmed. Diesel, the largest one, actually walked over to greet Tom. Hey there, big guy, Tom said, scratching behind Diesel's ears. How are you feeling today? The creature made a deep rumbling sound that Lisa realized was contentment. It was the same sound Rex had made when Maria petted him. The amazing thing is how much they understand, Tom said. Diesel knows when I'm sad or worried. He tries to comfort me. Last month, when my father died, Diesel stayed right by my side. For 3 days, he knew I needed a friend. Lisa was taking notes as fast as she could. So the bonding is not just humans training predators, it's mutual emotional support. Exactly. We take care of each other. That's what family does. That evening, Lisa called a meeting with the Galactic Council. She set up a video link so the council members could see what she was seeing. Council members, she said, I need to report something that will change everything we thought we knew about predator species. The council members appeared on her screen. They were representatives from 12 different alien species. All of them looked skeptical. Dr. Parker, said the council chairman, are you telling us that humans have somehow tamed the most dangerous predators in the galaxy? No, sir. Taming implies control and dominance. What I'm seeing here is partnership. Mutual cooperation based on emotional bonds. She turned her camera to show the settlement outside. A group of children were playing with their creature companions. The sight was so unusual that 2 of the council members gasped. This is impossible, said another council member. Those creatures are classified as class of threats. They should be killing everything in sight. They're only threats if you treat them as threats, Lisa said. But if you treat them as potential friends, they become friends. She showed them more footage. Humans and creatures working together in the fields. A thornworm helping a human fix a broken fence. A razorback gently carrying a human child on its back. The implications are staggering, Lisa continued. We've been approaching dangerous species all wrong. Instead of trying to destroy them or avoid them, we should be trying to understand them. Are you suggesting that all predator species can be domesticated? Asked the chairman. I'm suggesting that the line between predator and partner might not be as clear as we thought. These creatures have emotions, intelligence, and the capacity for love. They just needed someone to see past their scary appearance and recognize their potential. The council members were quiet for a long moment. Finally, the chairman spoke. Dr. Parker, we need you to continue your research. If what you're saying is true, it could revolutionize how we approach colonization of dangerous worlds. After the call ended, Lisa walked outside. The settlement was quiet now. Most of the humans and their companions had gone to bed. But she could see the gentle glow of the night patrol. Humans and creatures working together to keep everyone safe. She thought about her conversation with the council. They were right to be amazed. What was happening on New Eden should have been impossible, but it was real. And it was beautiful. A young girl named Jenny Walsh walked by with her companion. A scarred old razorback named King, the massive predator, was being careful not to step on anything as he followed the little girl. Good night, Dr. Parker, Jenny said. King says good night too, Lisa smiled and waved. As she watched them go, she realized that the humans on New Eden had discovered something more valuable than any scientific breakthrough they had discovered. That love could cross any species barrier, and that was the most important discovery of all. Admiral Patricia Davis had commanded the Zephyrian Empire's battle fleet for 20 years. She had fought in 12 major wars and conquered 6 star systems. Nothing in the galaxy scared her anymore. But the reports coming from New Eden made her nervous. Show me the footage again, she ordered her intelligence officer. The screen showed humans working alongside creatures that could destroy entire cities. A farmer named Joe Martinez was working with a thornworm called Saber. The massive snake-like creature was using its body to dig irrigation channels while Martinez directed where the channels should go. This has to be some kind of trick, Patricia said. No one can control predators like that. Admiral, our intelligence suggests they're not controlling them at all, her officer replied. They appear to be genuine partners. Patricia had brought her entire battle fleet to New Eden, 50 warships filled with the Empire's best soldiers. She expected to find humans using some kind of secret weapon to enslave the dangerous creatures. Instead, she found something much more disturbing. She found friendship. The shuttle bay of her flagship was filled with her top officers. They were all watching the live feed from the planet's surface. A human child was playing with a baby skyguard. The flying predator was the size of a small airplane, but it was being gentle with the child. "This changes everything," said Colonel Steve Richards. "If humans can form alliances with class of predators, they could become the most dangerous species in the galaxy." "Or the most valuable," added Dr. Frank Wilson, the fleet scientist. "Imagine what we could do with predator allies." Patricia decided to visit the planet personally. She took a small team of her best people down to the surface. They landed near the main settlement, where a group of humans was waiting to greet them. "Welcome to New Eden," said a woman named Sam Peterson. She was an environmental engineer who helped design the settlement's layout. "We're honored to have the famous Admiral Davis visit us." Patricia looked around carefully. The settlement was built into the natural landscape. The buildings were made from local materials and blended perfectly with the environment. Creatures moved freely through the streets alongside humans. It looked peaceful and natural. "I'm here to understand how you've managed to survive on this Deathworld," Patricia said. "Our records show this planet has some of the most dangerous predators in known space." "They are dangerous," Sam agreed. "But danger and evil are not the same thing. These creatures aren't evil. They're just trying to survive like everyone else." A large razorback walked up to them. Patricia's security team immediately raised their weapons, but Sam held up her hand. "This is Boulder," she said. "He's one of our construction workers. He helps us move heavy materials and dig foundations." The massive creature looked at Patricia with intelligent eyes. It made a low rumbling sound. "He's saying hello," Sam explained. "He's curious about you. He's never seen a Zephyrian before." Patricia stared at the creature. Boulder could have killed her entire security team in seconds. But he was just standing there, looking interested and friendly. "How do you communicate with them?" Patricia asked. "The same way you communicate with anyone." Sam said, "You pay attention to their body language, their sounds, their expressions. You learn to understand what they're trying to tell you." Sam led them through the settlement. They saw humans and creatures working together everywhere. A thornworm was helping to harvest crops, using its length to reach fruit high in the trees. A group of skyguards was circling overhead, watching for dangerous weather patterns. "This is incredible," Dr. Wilson said. "They've created a completely integrated ecosystem. The predators aren't just pets. They're active partners in the community." They visited the settlement school where human children learned alongside young creatures. A teacher named Helen White was giving a lesson about geology. She had a young razorback with her who could sense mineral deposits through vibrations in the ground. "The creatures don't just help us," Helen explained. "They teach. Yes, they know things about this planet that we never could have learned on our own." Patricia watched a human girl working with a young thornworm to solve a math problem. The creature was using its ability to sense patterns in the ground to help the girl understand geometric shapes. "The learning goes both ways," Helen continued. "We teach them about technology and planning. They teach us about the natural world and instincts." That evening, Patricia was invited to dinner with the settlement's leaders. She sat at a large table with Maria Santos, Joe Martinez, and several others. Their creature companions sat nearby, part of the family gathering. "I have to ask," Patricia said, "why did you choose to live this way? Why not build barriers to keep the predators out?" Joe smiled and scratched behind King's ears. The old razorback made a happy rumbling sound. "Because walls keep out the bad things," he said, "but they also keep out the good things. We chose to take the risk and find out which these creatures really were." "And what did you find?" "We found family," Maria said simply. "We found partners who would die to protect us and who we would die to protect. We found creatures with hearts as big as their bodies." Patricia was quiet for a moment. She had spent her entire career learning to fight and defeat enemies. The idea of turning enemies into friends was completely foreign to her. "But surely there must be some creatures that can't be befriended," she said. "There are some that are too wild or too damaged," admitted Kate Johnson, the settlement's animal doctor. "But even those we try to help. We heal their wounds and give them safe places to live. Sometimes that's enough. The next day, Patricia witnessed something that changed her understanding of everything. A group of wild thornworms had been spotted near the settlement. They were injured and hungry, probably refugees from a forest fire in the northern mountains. Instead of driving them away, the humans went out to help them. Patricia watched as Joe Martinez and his companion Saber approached the wild creatures. The injured thornworms were afraid and aggressive at first. But Joe was patient. "Easy there," he said in a calm voice. "We're not here to hurt you. We want to help." Saber, Joe's bonded thornworm, began communicating with the wild ones. Patricia could not understand what they were saying, but she could see the conversation happening. Body language, sounds, movements, it was a complex discussion. "Saber is telling them that we're safe," Joe explained. "He's sharing his experiences with us. He's vouching for us." Slowly, the wild thornworms began to relax. They allowed the humans to treat their wounds and give them food. By the end of the day, 3 of the wild creatures had decided to stay with the settlement. The others returned to the forest, but they were healthy and no longer afraid of humans. "This is unprecedented," Dr. Wilson said. "You've created a system where wild predators actually choose to join your community." "Choice is the key," Maria explained. "We never force anyone to stay. We just offer friendship and let them decide if they want it." Patricia spent 3 more days on New Eden. She saw the economic benefits of the human-predator partnerships. Creatures that could sense underground water sources, predict weather patterns, and work in dangerous environments. The settlement was more productive than colonies with 10 times the technology, but more importantly, she saw the emotional benefits. Humans and creatures who genuinely cared about each other. Families that included members of different species. A community built on love instead of fear. When she returned to her flagship, Patricia called a meeting of her senior staff. "I need to make a report to the Empire," she said, "but I'm not sure they'll believe what I've seen." "What will you tell them?" asked Colonel Richards. "I'll tell them that we've been doing everything wrong. We've been treating every dangerous species as an enemy to be defeated. But what if some of them could be allies instead?" Dr. Wilson nodded. "The implications are staggering. Worlds we've written off as uninhabitable could be turned into productive. Colonies, species we've been fighting for centuries could become partners." Patricia looked out at the planet below. She could see the lights of the human settlements, peaceful and safe, despite being surrounded by some of the most dangerous creatures in the galaxy. "There's something else," she said. "Something more important than the practical benefits." "What's that, Admiral?" "The humans down there aren't just surviving, they're happy. They found a way to live that makes them genuinely happy." How many of our colonies can say that? The next morning, Patricia sent her report to the Zephyrian Empire. She recommended that they begin researching peaceful contact with predator species. She suggested that fear might not be the best response to dangerous creatures, but she also sent a personal message to her daughter, who was studying to become a colony administrator. "I've seen something incredible," she wrote. "I've seen what happens when people choose love over fear. When they choose to see potential friends instead of guaranteed enemies. It's changed everything I thought I knew about survival." As her fleet prepared to leave New Eden, Patricia took one last look at the planet. She thought about the child playing with the baby Skyguard. She thought about Joe Martinez and his lifetime partnership with King. She thought about the wild thornworms who had chosen to trust humans. Instead of fear them, the galaxy was about to change. And it was going to change because a group of humans had decided that the scariest Colonel Mike Barnes had been a soldier for 20 years, but he had never seen anything like the unit he was about to command. Half of his troops were human Marines. The other half were predators that could tear through armored vehicles with their claws. "This is insane," said Sergeant Tony Clark, watching a thornworm practice formations with a squad of human soldiers. "We're actually going to fight alongside these things?" "They're not things," Mike corrected him. "They're partners. And they volunteered for this mission just like you did." The first human predator military unit had been formed after the hegemony started attacking frontier colonies. Regular human forces were struggling against the hegemony's advanced technology. But someone had suggested that creatures who evolved to hunt might be useful in combat. Mike walked over to where Captain Lisa Turner was working with her partner. A skyguard named Storm, the massive flying predator, was learning to carry military equipment while Lisa practiced directing ground forces from the air. "How's the training going?" Mike asked. "Better than expected," Lisa replied. "Storm understands tactics better than most human soldiers. He can see patterns in enemy movements that we miss completely." Storm made a series of clicks and whistles. Lisa nodded as if she understood every word. "He says the mock battle yesterday was too easy. He wants to try something more challenging." Mike had to admit that the training results were impressive. The predators brought abilities that no human soldier could match. Razorbacks could tunnel through enemy fortifications. Thornworms could move through terrain that would stop tanks. Skyguards could provide reconnaissance. That made satellites look primitive, but the real advantage was not their physical abilities, it was their loyalty. "These creatures don't just fight for us," explained Staff Sergeant Carol Davis, who worked with a team of Razorbacks. "They fight for their families. Every human in this unit is family to them." Mike watched Carol's partner, a scarred Razorback named Hammer, gently helping a young soldier who had twisted his ankle during training. The massive creature could have crushed the soldier without effort, but he was being as careful as a mother with her child. "The emotional bond makes them unpredictable to enemies," Carol continued. "Most military units have standard responses to threats, but our partners respond with the instincts of creatures protecting their young. That makes them incredibly dangerous." 2 weeks later, Mike got the chance to test his theory. The hegemony launched a surprise attack on the colony world of New Genesis. The planet was home to 50,000 human settlers and their predator companions. Mike's unit was the first to respond. They dropped from orbit in assault shuttles, heading for the planet's main city. The hegemony forces had expected to face standard human defenses. Instead, they found something completely different. "Enemy forces are advancing on the eastern approach," reported Lieutenant Dave Murphy from his position on the city walls. "Looks like 3 battalions of hegemony shock troops." "Storm confirms," added Lisa from her position in the air. "But there's something else. The local predators are moving to intercept." Mike looked through his binoculars. The hegemony forces were advancing in perfect formation, their vehicles and troops moving like a well-oiled machine. But they were being shadowed by creatures moving through the forest on both sides of their route. "The local predators aren't military trained," Mike said into his radio. "But they know this is their home. And they know the hegemony forces are a threat to their human families." The battle began when the hegemony forces reached the outskirts of the city. They expected to face defensive positions and artillery. Instead, they found themselves surrounded by creatures that seemed to appear from nowhere. Razorbacks erupted from underground tunnels directly beneath the enemy vehicles. Thornworms struck from the forest, moving faster than the hegemony soldiers could track. Skyguards dove from above, their natural hunting instincts making them almost impossible to hit. "This is incredible," said General Paul Williams, watching the battle from the command ship in orbit. "The predators are coordinating with the human forces perfectly. It's like they're sharing a single mind." On the ground, Mike saw how the partnership worked. The predators used their natural abilities to hunt and track enemies, but the humans provided strategy and coordination. Together, they created a fighting force that was more effective than either species could be alone. "Hammer's team just took out an entire armored column," Carol reported. The Razorbacks dug under the vehicles and attacked from below. The hegemony forces never saw it coming. "Storm reports 3 more enemy formations moving in from the north," Lisa added. "But the local thornworms are already in position to intercept." The battle lasted 3 days. The hegemony forces were bigger and had better weapons, but they were fighting on the predators' home territory. And the creatures knew every cave, every tree, every hiding spot. More importantly, they were fighting for their families. Enemy forces are retreating, reported Captain Nancy Clark on the final day. The hegemony commander is requesting terms for surrender. Mike could hardly believe it. A force that should have been able to conquer the planet had been defeated by farmers and their animal companions. How many casualties? He asked. Minimal. On our side? Nancy replied. The Predator's natural armor and healing abilities kept them safe, and their instincts kept our human forces out of danger. After the battle, Mike walked through the settlement with Maria Santos, who had become the unofficial leader of the human Predator. Alliance, your people fought like heroes, Mike told her. But they're not soldiers. They're farmers and teachers and shopkeepers. How did they become such effective fighters? Maria smiled and patted Rex, her razorback companion. They weren't fighting as soldiers. They were fighting as parents protecting their children, as friends protecting their friends. That's much more powerful than any military training. Mike thought about that as he prepared his report for headquarters. Traditional military thinking focused on weapons and tactics. But what he had seen on New Genesis was something different. It was community defense at its most basic level. The key is the emotional bond, he wrote in his report. Human soldiers fight for duty and honor. Predators fight for territory and survival. But when humans and predators bond, they fight for family. And there's no more powerful motivation than that. The victory at New Genesis changed everything. Within months, dozens of colonies were requesting Predator partners for their defense forces. The Galactic Council established the Predator Partnership program with Mike as its first director, but the program faced challenges. Not every human could bond with predators, and not every predator was suitable for military service. The selection process is crucial, explained Dr. Rachel Green, the program's chief psychologist. We're not just matching soldiers with weapons. We're creating family bonds that will last for decades. Mike watched as potential human recruits met with young predators at the training facility. Some matches were instant. A human and creature would look at each other and immediately know they belonged together. Others took time to develop. It's not about controlling the predators, Mike explained to a group of new recruits. It's about becoming part of their pack. You're not their commander. You're their family. Sergeant Ben Rodriguez raised his hand. What if the predator doesn't want to work with humans? Then we respect that choice, Mike replied. No one is forced into this program, human or predator. Partnership only works when both sides choose it freely. The training program was unlike anything the military had ever seen. Human soldiers learned to understand predator body language and communication. Predators learned to work with human technology and tactics. But most importantly, they learned to trust each other. The bond has to be real, said Master Sergeant Julie Foster, one of the program's instructors. You can't fake the kind of connection these creatures need. They can sense fear, doubt, and dishonesty. If you're not genuine, they'll know. Mike watched Julie working with a new recruit named Private Kevin Wright. Kevin was trying to bond with a young skyguard, but the creature kept backing away from him. What am I doing wrong? Kevin asked. You're thinking of him as a tool, Julie replied. You're wondering what he can do for you in battle. But that's not what he needs to hear. He needs to know that you care about him as an individual. Julie demonstrated by approaching the skyguard herself. She didn't try to touch him or command him. She just sat down and started talking to him like she would talk to a friend. Hey there, beautiful. You're nervous about all this, aren't you? I don't blame you. It's scary to trust someone new. The skyguard's posture relaxed slightly. He tilted his head, listening to Julie's voice. You don't have to decide right now, Julie continued. Take your time, get to know Kevin, see if you like him. If you don't, that's okay too. There are other humans who might be a better match for you. Over the following days, Kevin learned to approach the skyguard differently. Instead of thinking about military applications, he focused on getting to know the creature as an individual. He learned that the skyguard liked to play with shiny objects. He discovered that the creature was afraid of loud noises. He found out that the skyguard had a favorite sleeping spot in the corner of the enclosure. His name is Echo, Kevin announced one day. He told me, Howdy. 5 years had passed since the first human stepped onto New Eden. The galaxy looked completely different now. Dr. Lisa Parker stood on the observation deck of the new Galactic Institute for Interspecies Relations, watching ships from dozens of different worlds arrive for the annual bonding summit. "It's hard to believe how much has changed," said Chris Evans, the human diplomat who had helped establish the Predator Partnership Program. 5 years ago, the idea of working with predators was considered insane. Now it's the foundation of galactic civilization. Lisa nodded, watching a transport ship unload a group of young Altarians and their new predator companions. The blue-skinned aliens were nervously excited as they met their partners for the first time. "The program has expanded to over 300 worlds," Lisa said. "But it's not just about the numbers. It's about the change in thinking. Species that have been enemies for centuries are learning to be friends." The Institute had become the center of a new kind of science. Instead of studying how to defeat dangerous creatures, researchers were learning how to communicate with them. Instead of building weapons, they were building relationships. "Dr. Parker," called a voice from across the observation deck. Lisa turned to see Dr. Amy Foster, who had been promoted to head of the Institute's research division. "The council representatives are here for your presentation." Lisa walked to the main conference room, where delegates from across the galaxy were waiting. The room was filled with different species, all of them eager to learn about the human bonding techniques. 5 years ago, Lisa began, we thought we understood predator behavior. We believed that dangerous creatures were driven only by hunger and territorial instincts. We were wrong. She activated the holographic display, showing footage from dozens of different worlds. Humans working with predators, playing with them, caring for them like family members. What we discovered is that the capacity for love and loyalty exists in species we never imagined. The key is not to control these creatures, but to connect with them on an emotional level. A delegate from the Andromedian Council raised her hand. "Dr. Parker, our homeworld has creatures similar to your thornworms, but our attempts to bond with them have failed." "What are we doing wrong?" "The most common mistake," Lisa replied, "is trying to force the bond. You cannot make a creature love you. You can only offer love and hope that it is returned." She showed a video of Kate Johnson working with a group of injured predators. The creatures had been hurt by industrial accidents and were afraid of all contact. But Kate was patient, offering food and care without expecting anything in return. Dr. Johnson spent 3 months with those creatures before any of them would let her touch them. But now they are some of our most successful bonded pairs. The key is patience and genuine care. The presentation continued for 2 hours. Lisa showed examples of successful bonding from dozens of different worlds. Each story was unique, but they all shared the same basic elements: respect, patience, and emotional connection. "The most important thing to remember," Lisa concluded, "is that this is not about humans being special. Any species can form these bonds. We just happen to be the first to try." After the presentation, Lisa walked through the Institute's research facilities. In one lab, scientists were studying the brain chemistry of bonded pairs. In another, linguists were learning to decode the complex communication systems of different predator species. "The neurological changes are fascinating," explained Dr. Robert Kim, the Institute's chief neuroscientist. "When a bond forms both, the human and the predator show increased activity in the areas of the brain associated with empathy and social bonding." Lisa looked at the brain scans he was showing her. The patterns were identical in humans and predators who had formed successful bonds. "It's as if the bonding process activates dormant neural pathways," Dr. Kim continued. "Pathways that allow cross-species emotional communication." "So the capacity for interspecies bonding is built into our biology?" Lisa asked. "Not just human biology, all biology. Every species we've studied has these pathways. They just need the right conditions to activate them." Lisa left the lab and walked to the Institute's observation gardens. This was where new arrivals practiced their bonding techniques in a safe environment. She watched as a group of vegan collective members worked with young sky guards, the vegans, had been the most reluctant to try the bonding program. Their species had evolved to avoid confrontation, and the idea of working with predators terrified them. But their homeworld was being threatened by asteroid impacts, and they needed the Skyguard's ability to spot incoming threats. "The vegans are actually very successful at bonding," said Grace Morgan, the Institute's bonding coordinator. "Their gentle nature appeals to many predator species. They form some of the strongest emotional connections we've seen." Lisa watched as a young vegan named Zara carefully offered food to a Skyguard. The creature was responding positively, its body language showing curiosity and trust. "It's beautiful," Lisa said. "Every species brings something different to the relationship. The vegans offer gentleness. The Altarians offer stability. The Centaurians offer playfulness. Each species finds its own way to connect." As the day ended, Lisa walked to her favorite spot in the Institute, a memorial garden, dedicated to the predators who had died protecting their human partners. The garden was filled with small monuments, each one telling the story of a creature who had given its life for its chosen family. She stopped at one monument that always made her emotional. It was dedicated to a razorback named Hero, who had died saving a school bus full of children from a collapsing bridge. The inscription read, "He was not born to love us, but he chose to. That choice changed everything." "You're thinking about Hero again?" said a voice behind her. Lisa turned to see Maria Santos, who had been visiting the Institute for the annual summit. "I think about all of them," Lisa replied. "Every single predator who chose to trust us instead of fear us. Every human who chose to see potential friends instead of guaranteed enemies." Maria nodded, looking at the memorial garden. "My Rex is getting old now. He's been with me for 8 years. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if we had never met." "You would have missed out on one of the most important relationships of your life," Lisa said. "And he would have missed out on his." They stood in comfortable silence, watching the sun set over the Institute. In the distance, they could see the lights of the city, where humans and predators lived together in harmony. "Lisa," Maria said, "do you think this will last? Do you think the bonds will stay strong?" Lisa thought about the question. In 5 years, she had seen the Predator Partnership Program grow from a single settlement to a galactic movement. She had watched species that had been enemies become friends. She had seen love cross barriers that had seemed impossible to bridge. "I think it will last," she said finally, "because it's based on something real. It's not politics or economics or strategic advantage, it's love. And love is the strongest force in the universe." As they walked back toward the Institute, Lisa saw a group of children playing in the courtyard. Human children, Altarian children, vegan children, all playing together with their predator companions. The children didn't see species differences. They just saw friends. "That's the future," Lisa said, pointing to the children. "A generation that grows up thinking it's normal to have friends from different species. They'll create bonds we can't even imagine." The next morning, Lisa stood on the observation deck again, watching the ships prepare to leave. Each ship carried delegates and their new predator partners back to their homeworlds. In a few months, those worlds would be safer, more productive, and more connected to the galactic community, but more importantly, they would be filled with new families. Families that crossed species lines and proved that the strongest bonds were not based on biology, but on choice. "Dr. Parker," called Chris Evans, joining her on the observation deck. "The Council has approved funding for 50 new research stations. They want to establish bonding programs in every sector of the galaxy." Lisa smiled, watching as a transport ship carried a group of young Centaurians and their thornworm partners toward their new home. The future was bright, and it was filled with friendship. "Send the approvals," she said. "And let's make sure every species in the galaxy knows that they don't have to face their predators alone. They can face them together." As the last ship disappeared into hyperspace, Lisa thought about the memorial garden and the inscription on Hero's monument. "He was not born to love us, but he chose to. That choice changed everything. The galaxy was full of predators, but it was also full of love. And love, Lisa had learned, was always stronger than fear. The age of chosen family had begun. And it was beautiful.